The late afternoon sun was melting into the horizon, casting a warm orange glow through the glass windows of Café Marlowe, the busiest restaurant on the street. Inside, the rush-hour chaos was in full swing, waiters weaving between tables, dishes clattering, customers talking over each other while soft jazz played in the background. It was the kind of noisy evening that made people impatient, irritable, and quick to snap. Emily pushed the door open slowly, one hand pressed against her lower back. At 7 months pregnant, even a few steps felt like a small battle. Her breathing was uneven, and sweat dotted her forehead. She had been walking home from her doctor's appointment when dizziness suddenly hit her like a wave. She'd spotted the cafe and thought, just a minute of rest. Just one seat, but the moment she stepped inside, she felt eyes on her, curious, annoyed, uninterested. She wasn't looking for sympathy. All she wanted was a chair. The host's desk was empty. No one greeted her. No one even asked if she needed help. She spotted a waiter passing by, a young man with messy hair, a poorly fitted apron, and the permanent expression of someone who wanted to be anywhere else but here. His name tag read Jason. "Excuse me," Emily said softly. "Can I please sit? Just for a moment?" "I'm feeling." Before she could finish, Jason didn't even pause. He pointed to a crowded corner where customers waited for takeout. "We're full," he said, sounding annoyed. "Please don't block the pathway." Emily blinked, surprised by the sharp tone. "I'm sorry. I just need a chair for a minute. I'm a little dizzy." Jason finally stopped, but instead of concern, there was irritation in his eyes. "Everyone is tired. Everyone is hungry," he muttered. "You have to wait your turn." Emily swallowed. She wasn't trying to cut the line. She wasn't demanding anything. She simply didn't want to faint. She took a small step toward an empty chair near the window, clearly unused, but Jason immediately stepped in front of her. "That's reserved," he snapped. She looked around. There was no reserved sign. Several customers exchanged glances. They saw a pregnant woman struggling. But nobody spoke. It was one of those moments where everyone assumed someone else would intervene. Emily steadied herself, clutching her stomach. A flash of discomfort crossed her face, and she reached for the chair anyway. Jason reacted instantly, as if her touching the chair would ruin his entire day. "Ma'am, please don't make a scene. If you're pretending to feel faint just to get a seat," Emily's eyes widened. "Pretending? I'm not," Jason scoffed loudly, raising his voice so nearby tables heard him. "It happens all the time. People fake stuff to get attention. I'm not falling for it." A few customers stared at him, shocked by his rudeness. Someone whispered, "She's pregnant, man." But Jason ignored them. His pride, his anger, or maybe just his bad mood had taken full control. He grabbed a half-filled glass of cold water from a table waiting to be cleared. "If you're really about to faint," he said, "maybe this will help wake you up." Emily barely had a second to understand his words. Splash, the cold water hit her like ice. Her hair dripped. Her dress clung to her. Her skin shivered instantly. Gasps erupted across the cafe. Someone dropped their fork. Someone else whispered, "Oh my God." Emily stood frozen. Shocked. Humiliated. She felt the sting, not of the water, but of being treated like she didn't matter. Jason straightened, looking oddly satisfied, like he had proven a point. He shrugged. "See? You're fine." Emily's lips trembled. She wasn't fine. Not even close. Her knees weakened under her. She steadied herself with the table, her voice barely more than a whisper. "You shouldn't have done that." Her voice wasn't angry. It carried something far more powerful, certainty. Jason frowned, suddenly unsure. The cafe had gone silent. Even the kitchen staff poked their heads out. Emily's words hung in the air like a storm cloud forming above them, and then, a heavy, solid boot step echoed through the doorway. One step, another. The sound was slow, controlled, and unmistakably intimidating. People turned toward the entrance. A huge man walked in, broad shoulders, long dark beard, leather jacket with patches stitched across the back. Tattoos ran down his arms like ink rivers. His presence swallowed the noise in the room. His eyes locked on Emily, his jaw tightened. He moved through the cafe with the calm of someone who didn't need to raise his voice to be feared. Every customer shifted back instinctively, creating a path for him. He reached Emily, placing a gentle, protective hand on her shoulder. "You okay, sweetheart?" he murmured. Emily nodded weakly, wiping water from her eyelashes. The man turned, slowly, toward Jason. Jason stepped back. His face lost all color. He realized instantly what kind of man he was facing. The customers recognized him too. Ryder, the president of the Iron Serpents Motorcycle Club. A man known in the city. Some feared him, some respected him, but everyone knew not to mess with him. Ryder's voice was calm, almost too calm. Did you, he said softly, just throw water on my wife? Jason opened his mouth, but no words came out. Ryder stepped closer, his height shadowing the young waiter. I'm going to ask you again, Ryder said, his tone dropping deeper. Did you throw water on the pregnant woman standing beside me? The entire cafe held its breath. Jason stuttered, I didn't know she was with you. I didn't. Ryder's expression hardened. You should treat every woman with respect, he said, not just the ones who have someone standing behind them. Jason froze. Emily looked at Ryder, a mix of relief and emotion in her eyes, and the cafe, everyone, waited, wondering what Ryder was going to do next. For a long, breathless moment, Café Marlowe felt like the world had stopped spinning. Every pair of eyes in the room was fixed on Ryder and Jason, the towering biker and the trembling waiter. The contrast was almost dramatic enough to belong on a movie poster. Ryder, calm but dangerous, a man carved from iron. Jason, shaking, sweat forming on his brow despite the air conditioning. Ryder's voice, though low, seemed to fill the entire cafe. You threw water on a pregnant woman, he said, each word deliberate. On my wife. And you think saying, I didn't know she was with you, makes it better? Jason opened and closed his mouth, desperate for words that wouldn't come. His knees almost buckled under the weight of Ryder's stare. Before he could stammer out another excuse, the cafe manager, a short, stressed-out man named Oliver, burst out from the back office, wiping flour off his hands. Ryder, Oliver said with a forced smile that didn't reach his eyes. Hey, buddy. What brings you here? Is everything okay? Emily stood silently, water dripping from her clothes. Her hands rested protectively on her stomach, trying to shield her unborn child from the stress of the moment. Ryder didn't look away from Jason. Ask him. Oliver followed Ryder's gaze and finally noticed the soaked state Emily was in. Oh no. What happened? He gasped. Jason, did you actually? Jason stepped back, stuttering. She was blocking the walkway, and I didn't know, and she said she felt faint. And I panicked. Oliver pinched the bridge of his nose. Panicked? You threw water at a customer who is very clearly pregnant. Jason's voice sharpened with desperation. She was being difficult. I thought she was making a scene. Emily lifted her head, her voice soft but sharp as a blade. I asked for a chair. That was all she had said. Nothing more. Nothing less. Her voice struck Jason harder than Ryder's presence. Oliver shook his head. Jason, if someone says they're dizzy, you help them sit. You call for support. You do anything except humiliate them. Ryder finally broke his silence. Oliver. The manager stiffened. Yes. I'm not here to cause trouble for your business, Ryder said slowly. I don't want a fight. I don't want drama. Jason visibly sagged in relief, but Ryder wasn't finished. But nobody, and I mean nobody, disrespects my wife. There it was again, that chilling calmness in his tone. The kind of calm that made grown men rethink every decision they had ever made. Oliver nodded quickly. I understand, Ryder. Please, let me handle this. Ryder crossed his arms over his chest, a gesture that made his leather jacket creak. Emily gently tugged on his sleeve, whispering, Ryder, don't be too hard on him. Ryder turned to her, his expression softening instantly in a way only she could manage. You okay? He asked. Emily nodded. Just embarrassed. And cold. Ryder exhaled slowly. He took off his leather jacket, covered in patches from his motorcycle club, and draped it over her shoulders. It was heavy, warm, and familiar. Emily sank into it with relief. The customers watching let out a small collective sigh. The gentleness Ryder showed his wife contrasted sharply with the intimidating aura he carried. Jason, still shaking, whispered, I'm sorry. I didn't mean any harm. Ryder looked at him for a long moment. You didn't mean harm, but you caused harm, he said. Not everything leaves a bruise on the outside. Sometimes the damage is inside. Jason lowered his head, ashamed. Oliver clapped his hands. Jason, go to the back. Now. But, Jason started to argue, but one stern look from Ryder made his voice die instantly. Jason hurried away, nearly stumbling over his own feet. Once he disappeared, Oliver turned to Ryder and Emily. I am incredibly sorry, he said sincerely. We try to train our staff properly, but Jason, he has been struggling. This behavior was unacceptable. Emily smiled weakly. Thank you. Ryder didn't respond to Oliver. His focus was back on Emily. Sit, he said gently. He pulled out a chair for her, and she sank into it gratefully, her body finally relaxing. A waitress hurried over with a warm towel, a cup of herbal tea, and a plate of soft pastries. On the house, she whispered. I'm really sorry for what happened. Emily's eyes softened. Thank you. Ryder stayed standing next to her, one hand resting lightly on her shoulder, scanning the cafe like a guard dog on alert. Oliver swallowed nervously. Ryder, are you sure you don't want us to call someone? The owner. Security. Maybe we should. Ryder raised a hand. I said I'm not here to ruin your business. Oliver nodded quickly. Right. Of course. Thank you. Instead of shouting or demanding Jason be fired, Ryder did something unexpected. Something people didn't see coming. He walked to the center of the cafe. Every conversation stopped. Every phone lowered. Every eye turned to him. Ryder spoke in a strong, steady voice that carried through the entire room. This cafe, he said, should be a place where every customer, pregnant or not, is treated with respect. Dignity isn't optional. Kindness isn't optional. It's the baseline of being a decent human. People nodded. Some even clapped quietly. Ryder continued, nobody should have to defend themselves just to sit down. Nobody should be humiliated when they're already tired, scared, or vulnerable. He glanced back at Emily, who blinked back tears, touched by his words. Ryder looked at Oliver. Your staff reflects your cafe. Teach them better. Oliver nodded firmly. I will. I promise. The tension slowly lifted from the cafe, replaced by a sense of unity, of understanding. The customers whispered to each other, sharing what they learned from the moment. A young mother leaned toward her toddler and whispered, see. You always stand up for people when they're treated badly. Ryder returned to Emily. You ready to go home? He asked softly. Yes, she said with a small smile. But Ryder, thank you. He brushed a strand of wet hair from her cheek. I'll always have your back. As they walked toward the exit, the crowd parted respectfully. Some nodded. Some offered supportive smiles. One elderly woman even said, You're a good man, son. Ryder simply nodded. Outside, the sun had fully set, and the streetlights glowed warmly. He opened the door of his motorcycle sidecar. They had modified it for her comfort during pregnancy. Emily settled inside, still wrapped in his jacket. Ryder, she asked as he climbed onto his bike. Yeah. Next time, she said with a playful grin, maybe let me handle the rude waiter. He smirked. Oh, he'll handle you with roses next time. Trust me. They drove away, leaving behind a cafe that would remember this night forever, a lesson in respect taught not through violence, but through strength, restraint, and compassion.